Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to unpack something absolutely fascinating, the profound psychological and cosmological depths hiding right inside everyday phrases like Bismillah. We're drawing directly from the incredible insights of Sheikh Muhammad Metwali Al Shaarawi. And honestly, if you've ever just mumbled these words out of pure habit, get ready to see them in a completely new, literal, universe-altering light. Okay, let's dive right in. To really wrap our heads around this vast subject, we're going to hit 5 main points today: seeking refuge, companionship, the power of the Bismillah, breaking natural laws, and finally, the womb of mercy.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, seeking refuge and purifying the human soul. So, the source explains that before reading the Qur'an, or honestly, before tackling any major task, seeking refuge acts as a highly effective purification system. Think of it like a filter for the human soul to block out spiritual interference so you can actually receive divine guidance. And what's brilliant here is how the text maps this perfectly against human psychology. It pinpoints 4 very specific psychological threats that cloud our minds and gives us a precise linguistic and spiritual remedy for each one. Facing the threat of fear, the remedy is Hasbunallah, God is sufficient for us. Drowning in deep grief, you say, La ilaha illa ant, there is no deity but you. Dealing with the deceit of people, the shield is Ufawidu amri Allah, I entrust my affairs to God. And for worldly envy or desires, you use MashaAllah, what God wills. It is literally a complete spiritual pharmacy.
If we delve a little deeper into the linguistics, the source makes this really fascinating distinction between 2 types of mental distress. First, you have khawf, that's fear of something tangible. You know exactly what's making you anxious. But gham is totally different. It's this heavy, complex gloom or depression where you might not even know where it's coming from. Because of that crucial difference, each one requires its own specific spiritual key to unlock its grip on your mind.
Moving right along to section 2, companionship, specifically in God's absolute protection.
You see, moving beyond just asking for a bit of help, the act of seeking refuge actually does something incredible. It elevates you into a state the source calls al-Maya. Basically, this is the ultimate state of divine companionship. It shifts you into a realm where absolutely no negative force can touch you because, well, you're not fighting the battle alone anymore. The massive takeaway here is that Satan cannot attack you when you are shielded by this direct companionship with God. Sure, he might be able to face you alone, but he fundamentally cannot face your Creator. By seeking refuge, you are merging your own vulnerability with absolute impenetrable protection. To really illustrate how al-Ma'iyya works in the real world, the source brings up the famous case study of Prophet Muhammad and Abu Bakr hiding out in the cave during their migration. Now picture this, their enemies were literally standing right above them. Abu Bakr, looking at the physical reality, says, if they just look down, they're going to see us. But the Prophet responded from a complete state of al-Ma'iyya. He said, what do you think of 2 of whom Allah is the third? That divine companionship completely overrides physical, spatial reality. The physical threat was right there, but the spiritual shield rendered the enemies totally blind.
Okay, section 3, the power of Bismillah and harnessing the universe for humans.
Think about the last time you started a difficult physical task. Let's take planting a seed, just like the source mentions. In reality, you have 0 power to actually make that seed grow, right? You didn't create the earth, you definitely didn't formulate the nutrients in the soil, and you didn't pull the water down from the clouds. Your physical effort is a tiny drop in the bucket compared to the massive cosmic forces at play. So why even invoke God's name?
Well, the answer lies in this powerful concept called al-Taskhir. This translates to divine subjugation. Basically, God has deliberately harnessed the universe to respond to us. Sheikh Al-Shaarawi gives this mind-blowing analogy. Why on earth can a human being easily tame, ride, and command a massive, powerful camel, but we can't safely tame a tiny little snake? It's clearly not about physical dominance. It's because God subjugated the camel for our use through taskhir, but deliberately left the snake unsubjugated. It's a reminder that we aren't actually the ones pulling the strings. When you say Bismillah, you're explicitly acknowledging the God who made the universe yield to your efforts.
So, what does this actually change for you on a day-to-day basis? Well, a non-believer plants a seed, the earth yields to it, and they get a crop. They gain the material outcome, and that's it. But by saying Bismillah, a believer transforms that exact same boring physical act into something spiritually rewarding. You get the crop plus an eternal spiritual reward. Why? Simply because you intentionally kept God present in your thoughts while doing the work. He successfully linked the physical world to the spiritual one.
Which brings us to section 4, breaking laws and the Creator's will.
Zooming back out to the macro level for a second, the source explains that God established al-nawamis. These are the regular, predictable laws of physics, biology, and nature that we just blindly rely on every single day. But here's the catch. If God subjugated the universe for us, who truly controls those physical rules? Nature doesn't just run on autopilot. Occasionally, God shatters these laws to remind humanity that He is the creator of the law, and He is certainly not bound by it. The laws do not rule the universe. The lawgiver does.
The story of the prophet Zechariah offers profound evidence of this. He was extremely old, his wife was barren. According to biological nawamis, having a child was completely scientifically impossible. Yet God's response was simple. It is easy for me. Boom. The biological laws were instantly suspended to grant him a child. It's ultimate proof that the Creator can and does override the system whenever He chooses.
We see the exact same thing highlighted in the narrative of the virgin birth of Mary. It's another monumental instance where the strict, rigid rules of human reproduction were entirely bypassed by divine will. She was provided for without any physical cause, proving that God's creation doesn't strictly require the worldly mechanisms that we assume are mandatory.
Now, here's a really cool linguistic detail from the source about how these specific stories are told. It introduces the term tashahhus, which essentially means specific personification. Have you ever noticed how Mary is specifically named in the Qur'an? That is because her miracle, a virgin birth, is a completely unique, unrepeatable breaking of the laws of nature. On the flip side, the sleepers of the cave are left totally anonymous. Why? Because their lesson of retreating from corruption to protect your faith is a universal law. It applies to any group of youth in any era, anywhere in the world. When names are used, it's unique. When it's anonymous, it's a universal lesson for all of us.
Finally, let's explore Section 5, the gracious, the merciful, and God's vast mercy.
When we deeply analyze those concluding words of the Bismillah, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, the source reveals that they both share a root word, aram. And aram literally translates to the womb. This is such a brilliant illustration. God's mercy isn't just some generic feeling of pity. It is literally akin to the protective, cushioned, and absolutely unconditional care of a mother's womb for her developing child. It is a completely enveloping, nurturing environment.
Sheikh AlShaarawi emphasizes a really vital theological point right here. Unlike us humans, God's emotional state doesn't just fluctuate between being vengeful on a Tuesday and kind on a Wednesday. He does not hold grudges. Even punishment is simply the fulfillment of a set cosmic law, not some lapse in His patience. His mercy is a constant, infinite, and unconditional reality that completely surrounds us.
Connecting this directly to your life right now, you must never, ever hesitate to say Bismillah before doing something good, even if you messed up and committed a sin just yesterday. Seriously, never feel that God has abandoned you or is holding a grudge against you. You invoke His name because His vast mercy, that womb-like total protection, never abandons His creation.
I really want you to reflect on the immense cosmic weight behind your simple daily habits. The next time you step out of your house, plant a seed, or just start a new project at work, remember that there is a subjugated universe working for you. Never feel too distant to seek His presence. Let Bismillah be so much more than just a word you say out of habit. Let it be your direct connection to the ultimate power and the infinite mercy of the Creator. As-salamu alaykum.